My name is Michael William Doyle. I'm an associate professor of history here at Ball State University and director of our department's public history program. It's interesting to think about the potential uses for the interviews. I've talked with the director of the university's Department of Military Science, not the current one, but the past one, who was an officer who thought that it would be possible to create short webisodes or short videos that could be used in leadership modules for the training of the Reserved Officer Training Corps cadets. That's one example. In June of this year, we organized a special panel on the Cantini First Division Oral History projects for the Society for Military History, which is the leading international association for military historians that happened to be hosted by the First Division Museum at Cantini. And 100 people attended that session. It was academic military historians and also public historians who were assigned to all branches of the U.S. military and who also work for museums and research institutes throughout the world. And many of them told me of how they've incorporated video oral histories that are available on the web, built into their syllabus and used in class assignments and also used in their classroom teaching. We have a counter that keeps track of the number of times the two Cantini projects that are available on the web have been accessed by the public, and they've already received thousands of hits. One anecdote that I can tell you from September was a Vietnam veteran who served with the 1st Division in Vietnam, who was very bitter about his experience. He was not one of the people we interviewed, but in doing research on his division's deployment to Vietnam, they were the 1st Division to go into Vietnam as a division in 1965, and they were also the 1st Division to be pulled out as a division in 1970. So they were there for most of the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. I say he was bitter about his experience because he never really understood what it was all about. He was a low-level grunt. And what he told me was in listening to, watching the interviews with two 1st Division intelligence officers, for the very first time he understood how other people in the higher echelon were intercepting enemy radio transmissions and also interpreting documents that had been found on captured Viet Cong and North Vietnamese regulars. And from that, they were able to pinpoint places where they anticipated the soldiers would be in contact with the enemy. So he said all of these years he thought that the command inserted him and his battle buddies willy-nilly in the bush for no reason at all, and he came to understand that there was it was part of an orchestrated plan, and that made him feel much better about the experience that he had in Vietnam. So that was, you might say, an unintended consequence by not a scholar, not a student, but somebody who had actually served with the 1st Division in that war. And it's just one of many examples of how the general public may access these and find information. Since they'll be available in perpetuity, I anticipate that the children and grandchildren of the descendants of the soldiers we've interviewed may actually come upon these interviews when they do genealogical research in the future. So that's yet another example of how they may be used. We've attempted to facilitate their use in K through 12 teaching. All of the Cantini projects have had curricular materials, lesson plans, and teacher packets that have been prepared by our department's Dr. Sarah Drake Brown, who I should mention was also one of the presenters at the Society for Military History Conference. She works with her students on an immersive experience within her high school U.S. history teaching methods course to prepare curricular materials using the oral history interviews and the transcripts, and then linking them with other primary source documents and secondary source readings so that they meet the national history standards that have been determined by national history education professionals.